Justice League number 2, published by DC Comics, June of 1987. Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis writing, with Kevin Maguire on pencils. Cover shows members of the Justice League, Black Canary, Batman, Martian Manhunter, and Guy Gardner being attacked by 3 superhero types flying above them, a pinkish energy beam going through them as they writhe in pain. Spoiler alert, this scene does not occur in this issue, nor does anything close to it, but it is exciting in a bait-and-switch kind of way. So let's dig in. Batman and Martian Manhunter are having a conversation with Dr. Light, who apparently has been telling them the same thing several times, but since we just joined them, she's going to go over it again one more time. She says a few weeks ago, a mystery man who claimed to be from the Justice League offered her a membership and gave her a signaling device. Batman, ever the people person, asks her why, which of course she doesn't know. He asks her for the device, grudgingly saying please, and she hands it over and he looks at it. And in 90s sitcom fashion, he says, let's go over it again. This is where the theme music would start and we get a wacky introduction of characters. And since there are so many damn characters in this issue, and only one of them is Batman, who is fairly recognizable, let's do that real quick. We've got Batman, Martian Manhunter, Guy Gardner, Black Canary, Mr. Miracle, Captain Marvel, Dr. Light, and Blue Beetle. And these are just the good guys. Need more? Okay, here we go.
Dinah Laurel Lance is Black Canary. She is the daughter of Dinah Drake, who used the moniker before her. Black Canary has been an important member of the Justice League America and Birds of Prey. Ted Kord is Blue Beetle. The original Blue Beetle was given powers by an actual mystic scarab of a beetle, but Ted has no power. He's essentially a more fun, less rich Batman. Kent Nelson is Dr. Fate, a powerful sorcerer and agent for the Lords of Order who fights evil alongside his wife Ainza. His amulet, cloak, and helmet are creations of the ancient Naboo, who acts as his mentor and spiritual guide. He is a founding member of the Justice Society of America. Kimiyo Hoshi is the second Dr. Light, although she is not a successor to the original, nor a villain. This is part of the reason DC is ridiculous. She's been a member of the Justice League of Europe and Justice League of America. Captain Marvel is, well, Shazam. You saw the movie. Guy Gardner is a top member of the Green Lantern Corps and the second one to be chosen from Earth. A bit of a wild card in terms of attitude and unwilling to listen to the strict restrictions that bind most of his fellow Lanterns. His determination, skill, and unpredictability have made him one of the most feared and respected lawmen of the universe. He's also a giant dick. John Jones is a Martian Manhunter, a law enforcement officer from Mars who became a police detective and superhero after becoming marooned on Earth. He is a founding member of the Justice League. Mr. Miracle is Scott Free, the god of escape in the New Gods mythology. A Genesian raised on Apocalypse, he defected with his lover Big Barda to Earth, where he used the skills he learned in escapology, both as a performance artist and in the Justice League of America.
Now back to the show.
Guy Gardner is at his Guy Gardneriest, saying of course he'd make her talk and fall in love with him. Canary just wants to punch him, and Mr. Miracle wants him to comport himself with more dignity. And of course Guy is all, what's comport? What is comport? Oh, yeah, that works. Blue Beetle gets everyone's attention as the giant computer/TV screen setup where Tucker Carlson wannabe Jack Ryder is doing a story on the Justice League. In perfect fearmonger fashion, he questions their leadership, their housing, their membership, aliens. Doesn't that sound familiar? Asking finally, do we need this new JLA? Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., we find Max Lord in a fancy high-rise, also watching Jack Ryder. He asks his secretary to get the Ryder file, which he says is under C. That's a private joke I don't understand myself. If anyone out there gets that, please leave a comment below and let us know. Oh, and who is this Max Lord character? At this moment in time, he's actually a brand new character in the DC Universe, but his bio reads, Maxwell Lord was a powerful business magnate and manager of the Justice League International, essentially a power-hungry megalomaniac not unlike Lex Luthor. After the gene bomb gave him mind control powers, he became more and more power-hungry, eventually usurping Checkmate and Black King. And he gets a mysterious visit by Mr. Gold, which my guess would be Booster Gold, who I'm not actually going to get into right now because we've got enough characters. Guy Gardner is flexing his toxic masculinity at the report by Ryder, but cooler Martian heads tell him to chill out and stop being so infantile. I get this series. Guy is an ass and everyone just throws insults at him. I dig it. So he calls everyone wimps, and even Blue Beetle gets a dig in. Guy calls Captain Marvel Captain Whitebread and goes off on him until Batman quietly tells him to chill the fuck out, and he quietly apologizes. I don't know if this was fear or a surprise finger in the butt situation. You decide. We switch to what is the weirdest scene in the comic and possibly a deleted scene from Lost. A man is having an internal monologue about how everything is gray, life is gray, hearts are gray, he's angry and gray. Then Dr. Fate shows up. He knows this Mr. Gray. He says he has a destiny that he needs to follow. With that warning, he flies off. Mr. Gray continues to be gray. This scene continues to be weird and has no further bearing on the story. We find ourselves in the fictional Middle Eastern country of Bialya, where soldiers are running because of an alarm going off at a missile silo area. They worry that the missiles may be going off, but instead find Silver Sorceress, Wagina, and Blue Jay attempting to remove and destroy the missiles. These three are part of the Champions of Angor from a different dimension. And who are the Champions of Angor? They are essentially ripoffs of Marvel's Avengers, specifically Thor, Yellow Jacket, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver. So if you see that similarity, you're not crazy. They tell the soldiers not to interfere with their plan to destroy the missiles. They mean them no harm, and in fact, they are there to protect them from themselves concerning the nuclear madness that's happening. One of the soldiers called them American Superman, and that really upsets Wagina, and he throws the missile in the air, telling them they are not Americans, they don't care about borders and boundaries and petty disputes. The sorceress makes the missile disappear into a magic circle and says they are there to rid the world, all the worlds, of weapons of mass destruction. They tell the men their nation will never make war again, which either really upsets or really surprises the soldiers. It's hard to tell. Maybe they're thinking that it's now straight up making love time. I mean, what's up with this guy? Someone claps, breaking the tension, and a Colonel Harjavdi appears and attempts to schmooze the superheroes, telling them he's glad they're here, he's all about their mission, and despite being a colonel in the army, he's Mr. Peace. Let's go in and talk about it. But even his soldiers know he's full of it, because when he gets ideas, they end up getting shot at. Meanwhile, at the Cave of Justice, Batman and Manhunter are discussing the technology of the signaling device Dr. Light has brought them. Manhunter says it's actually better than their own device, and Batman says someone is playing games and he wants to know who and probably why and when and how. But Captain Marvel bursts in to tell them to come back to the TV screens, which seems to be all this new Justice League does. The current news report is about an attack on Bialyan, recapping the previous panels. Guy Gardner says something incredibly xenophobic and Republican, and everyone continues to hate him. Batman tells Beetle to warm up the bug, and Guy scoffs at them for getting involved. But since nobody listens to half of what Guy says, the group heads out in the bug, where he continues to be racist and ignorant, insulting Manhunter, who says that a first grader has a better grasp of the situation than Guy does. So yeah, Guy's definitely a Republican. Batman orders him to go along with the plan, and he joins Captain Whitebread as they fly towards their destination. The Champions of Angor have the kind of normal conversation you have with people about a situation that everyone there is involved in and already knows the information, in that they recap everything that's already happened and what they're doing out loud to each other so that we know what's going on. We have flashbacks of their world, which was destroyed by nuclear weapons and the fallout of said weapons. Even their Quicksilver ripoff Captain Speed was killed in the carnage. So at the end, apparently, everyone in the world was dead but them, so they decided to go dimension hopping to try to save other worlds. That's nice. Guy does something useful and locates them with his power ring and zooshes off without a word to anyone else. They hope he's gone forever, never to return, but Batman realizes that he must have found the group of anti-heroes and they follow his tracking signal, and tells them to hurry before Guy makes things worse than they already are. Even though he wants to help the champions, he goes hard in the other direction and starts to attack them, because he's got some issues. After puffing his chest up and telling them to beg for mercy, he gets cracked with the lightning and falls useless to the ground, where Captain Marvel zooms by just in time to grab him and quip, "In case you haven't noticed, Captain Whitebread just saved your life." I like that Whitebread. So the League is there asking them to stand down. While there's a standoff outside, inside the bug they get the message from the Bialyan government telling them to leave the airspace. Batman assumes that by telling them that they are good guys, they'll allow them there, but after they do, they are threatened to be blown out of the sky. Batman ponders his next move carefully, which was, I guess, to leave? Colonel McSmarmy McSmoozypants is now sitting at a table with the champions, discussing what to do now. The Colonel promises them protection and to fight anyone who comes for them, which is not what the champions want. The Colonel tells them he wants to help them eradicate the world of nuclear weapons, and if they really want to help, they should start with a place with enough weapons to bomb the planet into oblivion a dozen times over: Russia. And that's it. The next story back in the USSR, but for now we're staying right here where we are. What happens next in this story? Well, that's another issue. Thanks for stopping by the Long Box. Remember to click subscribe, smash buttons, do whatever you need to do, and come back and see us again.